Yeah, man. I think that it's imperative that people ask these questions and they seek to understand as much of the process as possible. I believe for a while now that the future of agencies is going to be micro niched and all about acquisition and the full acquisition process A to Z.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the High Level Spotlight Sessions, where we showcase awesome marketers doing awesome marketing. Today, I've got a familiar face back on the show with us, Mr. Nick Robbins, seven-figure agency founder, creator of Crusader Nation, shepherder of high-level users into SaaS mode. Nick, thanks so much for coming back on.
Man, so excited to be here again, Chase. Always a blast meeting up with you here.
I love having you on, man. You always bring the energy. I know that you guys have been crushing it lately on the agency side, right? So you're not only a coach, but you are still running an agency, which I absolutely love. So give me the update. How's it gone? It's probably been, what, 6-7 months since we last spoke, maybe longer?
Yeah. We were just going all in on the SaaS agency mode and transitioning our entire business to go on and go high level as a backbone when we last spoke. And when you say that I'm an agency owner first, like that's number one, first and foremost. The coaching, the only reason I can do any type of agency coaching is because of what I learned out there in the battlefield and the battleground of the actual agency space, right? So I'm an agency owner first and foremost. The coaching is a relief because I'll be honest, sometimes it's not always fun with certain clients on the done for you side, right? So these guys can be fun, but I'm just kidding. I love our clients. Not everyone's nice though. But since then, we have been on a tear, man. And and so much of it is to you, the team, Sean, I mean, understanding how these things work in the back end, but like we really dialed in our pitch and our offer and what we're doing. We're about to have our biggest month of the year in November, which is super rare for us because we're in the medical market. And oftentimes it's a little bit of a dip around this time of the year because offices shut down. It's kind of hard to avoid. We're already at 10 deals, 10K, 10K deals already 2 weeks in through November, which is insane.
Wow.
We've done $500,000 cash collected, new business, not a recurring business, new business, 834 if I do total contract value in the last 5 months alone. So we've just been absolutely exploding. That's on top of what we already had a 7-figure agency and all that. We brought in a ton of new clients with the SaaS agency as the backbone. And let's just say that when done correctly and structured properly, not only does the SaaS agency lead you to easier sales on the front end, better prospecting, but most importantly, client adoption and long-term stickiness. Anyone who knows me or listens to any of my stuff, I'm obsessed with retention. I've played the churn and burn game, but having go high level and getting client adoption hooked on the go high level, or in our instance, our white label software, the patient vortex on the back end is critical, man. So yeah, it's been a good 6 months.
I love it.
Yeah.
Congrats on all of that. I know that you've been putting together a done for you program to help people get into SaaS mode, but before we get to that, I'd love to just talk a little bit more about your recent, the stuff you guys have going on at the agency. And so you mentioned it makes it easier to close deals, retain clients longer. It sounds to me what I got from that, because this has been interesting for us to see, right? Like when we rolled out SaaS mode almost a year ago now, a lot of agencies for a while were really struggling with like, how does it fit in? Do we add it as an add-on? Do we include it in what we're doing? Do we try to sell it up front? And I feel like I've seen more agencies come around to the idea of we lead with it because it's this really easy foot in the door sale that's really sticky. And then we go up the value ladder from there. So how are you playing it?
Great question. And I'll share with you. It took me a little bit to figure that out as well. What we're doing is we're using it as the backbone of our pitch. So I'm not leading with it. I'm still leading with high ticket services. The way I look at it is software and a service, right? So I'm a big believer in upfront cash flow so you can finance future acquisition, you can pay commissions, and you can scale and grow. So I still like to attach our upfront higher, Facebook ads and consulting services alongside of it. But here's where it gets amazing, right? So let's say I get them hooked on Facebook ads, I get them set up with Facebook ads, a whole go high level system. But all of a sudden on the back end, once they're with us, they become addicted to having a centralized communication platform for all their leads, two-way texting. Doctors start to get obsessed with being able to watch the correspondence between front desk and patient, which is like such an enormous eye opener for everybody that we work with, right? Yes. Being able to record inbound and outbound calls, database reactivations. And I utilize a strategy that almost nobody talks about that I've seen anyways, is I can show somebody some metrics and some numbers to get people absolutely obsessed with using the opportunities tab and being able to track their entire new pipeline value, all by using the opportunities tag properly. So my goal is get them hooked on Facebook ads. Awesome. But most importantly, get them addicted to the software, get them addicted to logging in and seeing the wins, get them addicted to being able to understand the correspondence. And then that's what hooks them. And then if they ever want to turn off Facebook ads, because get this, right? Normally around this time of the year, if people are like, oh, I don't want Facebook ads, or we're good right now because we're shut down. Guess what? All right, cool. $497 in December. You get to keep the software. You can have all your web chat leads come in. You can have all your GMB chat leads come in. We'll do a database reactivation for you. Cool. We'll keep it. Right. So I use the quote, just strictly SaaS mode as a downsell. Right. I'm a big believer in still cash flowing up front, which is why we're able to get such monster numbers. But the way I position it is the engine and the backbone of it. Right. So that's how my take on it. And it's been working tremendously.
I love it. And I'm so excited because I've been seeing a lot on Twitter these days, agency owners struggling with this grass is always greener scenario with their friends who are running software, right? Solo founders building software, and each side thinks the grass is greener, right? The software folks look at agency and like, whoa, your contracts are so much higher, right? You're selling like 3,500 a month, 5,000 a month. I get like 47 a month if I'm lucky. And then the agencies are doing the same thing. Like, yeah, but it's recurring and you don't have to deal with all this crap that we have to deal with. And I'm just sitting there going, guys, you can have both, right? Because especially if you're already an agency, because you just mentioned a couple of things that I think people don't think about. To do great marketing, the customer should have access to a pipeline, right? They should be able to see where everybody's at in the funnel. They should be able to communicate with people via text message. And like you said, they should be able to audit what their staff is saying. And a lot of people they don't realize how big of a deal that is and how hard it's actually to deliver without a platform like HighLevel.
It's the biggest deal. In fact, part of the reason why I went all in and actually transparently came back as a 50-50 owner. I think I've talked about this in previous times, but yeah. I'd actually sold 40% of my agency to my business partner, close friend, been best friend forever, great terms back in late 2019. I came back as a 50-50 owner about 6, 7, 8 months ago, right around when we started blasting off sales, right? Because that's kind of what I do. And I came back because of one specific feature, the ability to record and listen to outbound dials, right? So for a long time, if you use call rail or call tracking metrics or whatever, you can hear the inbound calls from your leads.
Right.
But I've never been able to track and monitor, are they actually calling outbound? Because you can see when they're freaking lying, right? And so that feature alone brought me back. It is such a huge eye opener. It's amazing, right? And the way that what I don't sell marketing, I don't sell leads, I don't sell software. I sell our clients an patient acquisition machine, a machine from A to Z, right? Because it's not just about the lead. It's about how the lead is handled. It's about the follow-up, the automations, the reminders, the text, your brand. How does it look on GMB, right? So this whole machine, front end machine, that's how we position ourselves. And man, is it connecting like gangbusters, man.
That's funny because we used to call our version of HighLevel profit engines because we had the same mentality.
Yep.
And I think a lot of people who struggle, one suggestion I always give to people who struggle is like, well, is this going to change the way that we sell? Like, how do we talk about it? And I'm like, no, just keep doing what you're doing. And then at the end, when they're excited and ready to go, you say, this whole thing is powered by our machine, like whatever you want to call it, right? Our software is a key piece in this whole thing. And immediately they start to see the value once they get in there, like you mentioned. So talk to me about folks you've been helping. What have you seen coming in that people are really struggling with out of the gate that you've been able to help kind of correct?
Yeah. So, I mean, there's really 3 main areas that people tend to struggle with that I really can help with and focus on. That's number 1 is prospecting, right? That's always the first big hurdle you've got to get over. Number 2 is sales, right? And then number 3, and the one that I think people don't talk about enough personally, and it's something that really becomes critical at scale, is client adoption. Like, how easy are you making it for your client to use the system? Right? Because a lot of people, and I guarantee some people watching, it's like, oh man, I got some people on. And then all of a sudden I was flooded with tech support and they didn't know what to do and they weren't knowing how to do anything, blah, 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 right? Client adoption is an obsession of mine. How do you adopt it into their workflow, right? So I want to start there, just with a couple quick tips for people, because I obsess over this big time, okay? If you want anybody to adopt your product, you must build it into your client's workflow, okay? So literally, I go as far as to watch our front desk people download the app on their cell phone, right? I have them highlighted and favorite it on the desktop and say, here's what you're going to do. Just put it as a favorite up top here in the bookmark section. Here's what you're going to do every single morning. You log in. The first thing you do is call these leads. We've got our text templates already loaded up in there, right? And then here's what you want to do. And here's how often you want to check it out, right? We break down with them how the notifications get set, where they're going to be set. Okay, what's best for you? Is it best to have email dings that go off? Is it best to use a practice cell phone, right? So like we obsess over the actual client adoption portion. And so we do multiple trainings. We host multiple trainings per month. So we do multiple trainings in our onboarding, and we host multiple group trainings every single month to ensure that the clients get the most out of the software. But that begins with you creating the optimal usage for the software and locking everything else up. Do not give them more access to more than what they are, able to get access to, or else it's going to be a nightmare for you on the back end, right? But it's your job to set the system up for them, because that's part of what you're selling in a lot of ways. You're selling them the actual system of the proven process and all that type of stuff, right? Because left to their own devices, when most people get behind a software or behind a texting, and especially front desk people, like, oh my gosh, like you're just like, your mind is just blown. I'll give you a quick example of this. And I use this as an example in our pitch decks everywhere. So somebody messaged in through the web chat, okay, in the texting situation, and said, hey, I'm coming in for an appointment. What's your address? You know what the person responded? You can Google us. Didn't give him the address, said you can Google us. I was like, what is going on? Right. And so some of the things that we do, we actually do sweeps every single week. Another reason why I love Go High Level so much. And you can tell I'm passionate about this thing because I love it. Right. But like, another thing that I show with our people to do is like, we do sweeps every single week in regards to going into each client account and checking in, are they updating the opportunities tab? I can tell within 30 seconds whether a client's happy or not. How much money do they have in the closed one tab, and are they updating the opportunities? And if they're not, or they look like they're struggling, or their appointment schedule ratio is lower than it should be, because we have defined KPIs that we want to be hitting based off our clients, I have a results manager who goes in and will send Loom videos to the doctor, the owner, or the client, and be like, hey, we saw that you missed this. Here's how we can do this better, right? So we're always having that feedback loop that helps them optimize and get hooked on the software. Because if we ever want to keep the software part going, even if they decide to switch marketing services or whatever, then we need to be able to provide and get them hooked on it, right? And adopting on it. So that's one of the main things, client adoption.
Hold on. I want to break down a couple of things that you just talked about there.
I get real pumped. Yeah.
The first is, I think you made a great point that we should point out, which is a lot of folks, and don't get me wrong, this works really well, can work really well, focus on just selling the core SaaS mode features. Maybe I'm going to white label the onboarding and then white label ticketed support. And all I do is focus on selling. And that can work because really the client's only focused on the conversation screen. But you bring up the opportunity to do more, right? And to teach you about pipelines, give you your daily routine, this kind of stuff. People are willing to pay more for that. And I think it's a competitive advantage because you're not selling software, you're selling a system. And it's easy to be like, oh yeah, I mean, you can go sign up with the software, but like, you're going to be on your own. Whereas we provide you with a system. We're there. We're going to walk you through it. We're going to train you 4 times. Like you said, we're going to give you a routine. And then you pointed out auditing, which I think is such a missed opportunity for a lot of agencies. Like you said, it's so easy to just go back through conversations and find glaring opportunities for improvement, right? You mentioned that ridiculous message. But I can remember seeing things like, hey, I noticed that you got this question 3 times. So we came up with this canned response. We saved it as a template. So we're going to go talk to your staff about, but I just wanted to run it by. Does this template work for you? And the doctor's like, oh, that's fantastic. Yeah, great. Okay, great. We're going to go run it, train your staff real quick on anytime they get this question, this is the response they should use. And now you're not leaving it up to chance what, whoever's going to write at the front desk. I think opportunities like that are really low-hanging fruit if you just if you put it into your SOP, your routine to do a quick sweep.
They're going to get better results, right? So like there's 2 things that really help retention, because at the end of the day, whether you're getting them an upfront high ticket plus combination like we do, or you're going for the low ticket approach, which is fine, by the way, you need to get 2 things. Number 1, you need to get adoption, and then they need to get results, right? Like, and if they don't get results and they are upset when they log into the software, they're confused, they're overwhelmed, they don't like it, they're not going to stick. Right. Mm-hmm. Stickiness is a really important factor in scaling, a SaaS, any business, agency, SaaS, anything like that. Right. And so, Yeah, I mean, there's tremendous opportunity to help customize things. People will pay more for extra support, and especially if you can put it as I'm selling this proven system with even training videos, things like that can help a ton.
I never saw a client who wasn't absolutely thrilled when one of our account reps would say something like, oh, hey, I audited 50 calls and here are the notes that I have.
Oh yeah, I mean,
Absolutely blows people away.
a big part of what we sell is actual role play or staff creation and basically building a sales front end, right? Because part of your acquisition machine, you need to have a sales force in order to do that. And so I start to indoctrinate. We work in the medical market, right? But it doesn't matter what market you're in. Most of them aren't thinking from an acquisition machine process, especially if they're sub 2 million in revenue. Above 2 million in revenue, they kind of get it. But it's sub 2 million, 7 million, they have no clue how to acquire anything. They just set up shop and they just kind of got there, right? So we teach them how to get the front desk to think. We do audits, we do role plays, we do scripting, we do training, and we use the vortex is the horse, the engine, the thing that we ride it into the ground with, and the core part of moving everything forward. We've got
Absolutely.
tremendous results. Our lifetime, for anyone watching and people know Facebook ad stuff, our lifetime value is $22,000 a client right now, right? So that allows me, there's a reason why if people have seen our ads in the medical space, I never turn my ads off. I'm willing to pay $250 an appointment when most people aren't, because I know that as long as I close 1 out of 10 at the highest, that's a $2,200 CPA. I'm making 22,000 on the back end. I'll pay that all day long. Most people see a $250 appointment and they're like, right? So what that also breaks down is we have almost a 9-month retention rate on average, right? 9-10 months. It's somewhere in that range, depending on what metric we use. And that's something we've worked extremely hard in order to build.
And it's another testimonial for niching down, right? And I feel like even if you're just getting started, if you pick a niche and even if you're not, you don't have any clients, you could start a podcast, just start interviewing people in the space, and you're going to come up with these pain points, these things that you can then train staff on. Because, correct me if I'm wrong, 9 out of every 10 businesses that you meet are terrible at sales. Absolutely, especially at closing new business, right? They're used to people walking in, coming up to the desk, basically ready to buy.
One of the things I train everyone who I work with on the agency side, as well as my team and what we focus on and what our agency is all about, is like, we're acquisition masters. We're not lead generators. We're not in that. We are acquisition masters. We study and we understand the sales process from A to Z. That includes everything from targeting to ad to landing page to funnel to reminders, the CRM to the scheduling call to the pre-appointment reminder process, to what happens when they get in the consult, to how do they run the paid exam, to how do they deliver the report of findings, to how do they lower their cost of goods sold. Now, somebody watching is like, I can't know all that stuff about one niche getting started. It's okay. You don't need to. But my point is, you want to go out there and seek to understand, because it's not going to take you very many phone calls and or very many conversations for you to actually know significantly more about acquisition than your average business owner is. This is not a knock on your average business owner, but read the book, The E-Myth, and you get to understand a little bit about what's going on inside these guys' heads. They started their own business because they like doing the thing, whether that's installing HVAC, whatever, right? Or they like doing medical, or they like, they're passionate about that, not about sales and marketing. And unfortunately, not even unfortunately, the reality of the world is, without sales and marketing, you're dead in the water, And so I tell everyone, niche down, ask questions, and seek to understand. And as soon as you start being around successful people or people who do well with your product, ask them why they're successful. Why is this working so well for you? What do you do differently? Right? Because and especially like in some places like contracting and stuff, man, like, dude, you can just, anybody can go in there and sell better than those guys. Like, they don't even show up half the time, first of all, and they show up and they've got like, paint all over their shirt. They just smoked a cigarette in the car. They might have some alcohol in their breath. And like, it's insane. Like, the leads are bad. Leads are all bad. It's like, who'd you send out there? Like, don't send the fucking technician out there. I don't know if I can swear. The technician out there, to go out there and sell the thing, right? Get a sales place in there. So yeah, man, it's crazy. I'm a big believer in niche down. I've been screaming that at the top of my lungs since.
Well, you also just pointed out something that's really interesting, which I think is the opportunity. I feel like what I've seen in the industry was, hey, we're lead generators. We figured out how to generate leads. We send them to you in emails or spreadsheets. Then we got smarter and we're like, hey, you guys suck at closing leads. So we're going to automate the nurture process of taking a lead and getting it onto your calendar. And I feel like that's where a lot of us stop now. But if you've been in an industry for long enough, you can take it further, like you just said, of like, hey, doctor, tell me about what you guys say in the paid consult that I'm booking for you. because I have industry expertise and I could probably improve that for you as well. That's crazy. There are like, no agencies are doing that. You're in the top 1% if you can do that. And imagine how valuable that is for a practice, because they don't know what other practices are doing or saying, right?
It's enormous, man. I'll give you a couple examples of this. In early 2019, I almost shut down my agency in the end of 2018. I almost walked away from a $3 million business because churn was like 90 days, hair was gray, doctors were, screaming, leads were bad. We were selling like crazy. Like we were selling 15 clients a month, but we were churning 7 or 8. And it's just not a fun place to be. Anybody who knows me, I obsess over client results, and I need to make sure anyone who ever invests with me gets a massive return. Like I just cannot do anything else. So we almost shut it down. We did decide not to. We decided in 2019, we're going to take a different approach. Early for Q1 2019, I reached out to about a dozen of our clients at the time, and they agreed to let me coach and optimize their sales process because they were struggling. And I was like, cool. So I started having conversations with them. I'm like, okay, so tell me what happens here. And my jaw hit the floor when I started learning about what was going on. Quick example. One of the clients I was working with, they would have the consult. They would say, okay, great. Now you need x-rays. They would have no referral for the x-ray. They would not have a set date for them to come back. And they would just expect this person to go out in the ether, get x-rays, and decide to call them and come back. And I'm like, and you're wondering why people aren't coming back for day 2s? Like, you're not even, what are you doing? There's not even a follow-up here, right? I had another one. This is an amazing story, right? We completely turned this around. It's an amazing story where they would come in for a consult, but instead of actually doing a consult, they would put the patient in a room and show them a 45-minute automated video. And then they were like, I don't know why some people just leave during the video. I'm like, it's because they walked into a practice like this. I swear on my life, this is like really what's happening. Right? Another one, this is the last one I'll share. She literally I also really get into the math and the margins and numbers of things, because I think it's really important to understand that. I was asking about the margins and profits and all that. We figured out that she was literally losing money every single time she sold this weight loss package due to health coaches and cost of goods sold and labs and all stuff. And I'm just like, no wonder there's no money in the account. You're losing money every time you sell one. But they didn't know this stuff. And so ever since then, my conviction is so freaking strong. Last summer, quick story on this. Last summer, one of my best ever clients in the mastermind, they went from sub 10K to multiple 100,000. Anyways, they were struggling with similar type situations. Okay. And last time I was like, guys, like, you guys are really good at sales. Go ask them to pitch you. They did. They got in, and all of a sudden, jaw hit the floor. Same exact thing happened. Anytime I've ever had somebody go in, ask them to pitch you. Ask them what their scripts say, right? And then you're like, you don't have to be Jordan Belfort to help these guys with sales, because they don't know what the hell's going on, And if you ever want to gain authority on it, here's another great question you can ask your client too. Whenever they say, oh, I closed 90%. All right. So tell me about what happens post ROF, right? Or post quote. What's your follow-up process, right? After you get a quote, whether that's, for an air conditioner or, in my instance, report of findings, which is where they deliver the pricing. Just bursts there. Nobody has a follow-up process. So you're just expecting them to buy. What if they need to talk to somebody? Like, you're not going to follow up with them. You just think them just want them to give you the money there. Nobody has anything like that. So yeah, man, I think that it's imperative that people ask these questions and they seek to understand as much of the process as possible. I believe for a while now that the future of agencies is going to be micro niched and all about acquisition and the full acquisition process A to Z, because the lead generation process is a commodity at this point. It truly is. Right? It's not that difficult in a lot of local business markets to throw up an ad and a landing page with all these amazing softwares we've got and get a lead. The struggle comes from making sure they can optimize the use of HighLevel. They can use it properly. They can communicate, and they can get that person in and collect money.
Totally. I mean, there's still so much low-hanging fruit in just automating the lead to booking process. Taking, do you have a cancellation automation, things like that? These are just low hanging fruit that, I talk to people every day and I'm like, oh, did you set up the no-show campaign? Oh, no, I haven't gotten to that yet. But that's just low hanging fruit. You know what I mean?
It's right there.
But I think that you're right. I think that if you can go deeper, a lot of times businesses will pay you through the process of them not actually making money, but figuring out what they're doing wrong and getting them on the right path to start making money.
100%, especially you can develop authority, because when they first get on the phone with you, and anyone who's ever had a prospecting call or a qualifying call is going to recognize this. There's this weird dance where it's like, They don't trust you, and you know they don't trust you because they don't trust marketers, yet they know they need
Yeah.
you, so they're there right now. But the minute you can start to develop authority and rapport with them, and they'll start listening to you, right? And the easiest way to develop authority and rapport is to, one, ask them questions they don't know the answer to. What's your CPA? How many people are coming in? What's your schedule rate? What's your close rate? Things like that. Or two, have some sort of industry knowledge that you can drop. As soon as I start learning terms like hyaluronic acid is the one that, I learned what hyaluronic acid meant, and I started bringing that up in all my calls. Instant authority, because the docs were like, oh my gosh, this guy knows how to get hyaluronic acid patients. I'm in. I want him, because I figured out that was what the patient they wanted most. So I spoke industry lingo. So it really doesn't take a ton. I think that what's his name? Oren Klaff talks about this in his most recent book, calls it the flash roll. It's just a quick little thing that shows that you have authority base on it,
I
And
love that.
yeah, it's huge. It's huge, man. And going back to what you were talking about with the, the done for you thing that we've been helping with, right? Like, and we partnered with Go High Level, an amazing team on the back end, love it. On that end is we give them all the stuff, the automations, the reminders. There's no excuse not to have a no-show sequence set up or a cancellation sequence, right? Like, you got to have that in place, because it's something that needs to be done. Like, I take full responsibility for every lead that doesn't close for our clients. That's my fault if they're not closing, because I haven't either given them the tools, the mindset training, the sales training, whatever it might be. If they're not making money, it's on me, right? Because I'll tell you right now, and I know this is going to relate to certain people on here, you can beat your head all day long and be like, that client's going out of business, they suck at handling the leads. It doesn't get you anywhere. I promise. I've tried. Trust me. Nobody's cussed at more doctors than me in my life. Okay. Like, probably not anyways, but at the end of the day, you got to take personal responsibility. So we did A to Z, and that's what's, literally quadrupled our retention rate, increased our values, allowed us to charge more, and honestly just had much happier clients.
And I would bet you can, and maybe you do this in your coaching, but like you mentioned something that made me think of some industry expertise. We used to work with a lot of med spas, and it was like, hey, everybody runs a Botox offer, but here's the trick. Like, that's like a kind of a loss leader. You do that, and then we take the leads and we get them into cool sculpting appointments. Like, cause that, and then their eyes light up. They're like, oh, they get it. They know that that's what we really want. Okay, we're going to do this like bait and switch, get them in on Botox, they, get them booked on Cool Sculpt. That, I feel like you could teach somebody in another industry. It's just looking for the right opportunities, right? Talking margin, like what's low margin, what's high margin, what's easy to sell, what's harder to sell, you know what I mean? And you can create those formulas that, again, just put you in a different league.
100%. I obsess over upsells, cross sells, lifetime value, right? So a couple examples in our market. If you have OA of the knee, osteoarthritis of the knee, and you're over the age of 60, there's like a 71% chance that you also have at least 50 pounds to lose, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so we need to heal their knee. And now we've got the trust with them with the injections, the Insecure, boom, weight loss program. Let's go. Let's add another 3K on. They trust you, they buy into you, right? And then from there, it's like, awesome. Now let's get you into the beauty on our med spa side or whatever, right? So we always look for those opportunities. Always, always, always. How do you increase lifetime value? How do you increase margin? Because then at the end of the day, if you make clients money, like, they're going to stick. Like, very rarely they're not going to leave. So you just need to obsess over, how can I make them money? Right. And that's a shift for a lot of people. It's a lot of agency owners I speak with, like, how do I get them leads? I'm like, no, how do we make them money? Right. Like, I want to, and this is my goal, and I break this down inside of our programs, and I talk about this a lot, but like, my goal for our onboarding call is I want them to walk away with $10,000 worth of value right there.
Mm-hmm.
I want to find $10,000 right there, whether we can lower cost to get sold, we can help improve a process, whatever it might be. Now, we've obviously been doing this for a while, but like, most people aren't even looking to try to seek to understand how they can do that. And it is something that comes with time. Like, you're not going to know everything about a market, right away. But if you ask the right questions, you learn, you pay attention, you see what's working and what's not, you can pick up things real quick, right? Because I'm a big believer in just model success. So when I was first coaching sales, like, so honestly, when I was doing the dozen doctors in the first quarter of 2019, like, I was kind of making up as I went along by like reaching out to our good clients and then like going to coach the other clients that weren't doing so good. And I'm like, okay, what do you do here? Okay, what do you do here? Like, and kind of going back and forth, right? Model success. There's people out there that prove it. They have it, right? I'm obsessed with modeling. It'll save you so much time. I just got done at a Tony Robbins 4-day event, right? And his number one thing, model success. Like, just find a proven process and follow it. And that's all you got to do. So if you have a client or someone on your team who's super successful, ask them why. Most successful people will talk about why they're successful. They'll talk about why things work, why things don't. They'll be inquired to you ask, And so I think that's a huge part of it. And it really starts with just a mentality shift. not marketers, not lead generators, acquisition specialists. We make our guys money. And honestly, even if you are just selling SaaS, you're not selling a done for you process, you still want to have this because they still need to make money. They still need to get some level of value from your software if you want them to stick with you. They have to be able to see that directly.
Yeah. And I think staying inquisitive is a great strategy, right? Hey, by the way, I'd love to schedule a 15-minute call with you to talk about how you guys handle those paid cool sculpting consults or whatever. And then you can start comparing, contrasting them, right? And then you come up pretty quickly with like, this is the best model I've seen. And so we're going to help teach this to our customers that come in that don't have a good model. And it's the same thing with sending spreadsheets full of leads. You can look at a client and say, oh, you're leaving? Well, that's because you guys suck at closing. And you can feel good because you were right, but it still cost you the client, right?
It doesn't do you any good.
Right.
We make money in this game by stacking revenue, stacking reoccurring. So you've got to obsess. Like the real sale begins after you collect the credit card. That's the real sale. Whether you're selling the lower ticket SaaS, whether you're selling the done for you high ticket stuff. I mean, and really quick on that note, like one of the things that I want to share with everyone, because the SaaS thing gets tossed around a lot and I see a lot of confusion behind it. And really it shouldn't be confusing, guys. Like it's just it's using HighLevel as the engine of your agency. Like it's that simple. Don't overthink this crap. There's 3 ways that you can think about packaging this thing, right? That I see and that I would recommend anyone do. Number 1 is high ticket done for you, right? So for us, for example, it's $3,300 a month. That includes the HighLevel, the Facebook ads, the funnel build outs, automations, reminders, our entire system, right? $3,300 a month or $9K upfront, right? 90-day contracts. The next way is to do a done with you where you charge maybe $5K and maybe set up their Facebook ads. Maybe you launch their ads for them, or maybe you teach them how to do it. You teach them how to close, you teach them how to use the software, you teach them how to, it's like a done for you where you teach them how to get their own Facebook leads, right? This is extremely effective. In some markets, it's absolutely crushes. I've coached some people that kill it in this with this offer, right? But you're still getting upfront cash flow, which is I love that. I'm a big believer in getting upfront cash flow to scale anything, because you need to have ad money, you need to have money for commissions and sales reps. The third way is then to go in with the lower ticket SaaS. It's $297 a month, the podium style approach. I think that can be done on those are 3 different ways. First, you need to decide, what are you selling, right? When you go out to the marketplace, how are you going to position your product and have a plan in case people say no or whatnot, right? Like I don't have any problem with pitching the done for you high ticket stuff and then settling for a trial version of the, $297 for database reactivation. Plus we'll run, turn on web chat for a month or whatever it might be. Right. So like one of the confusions I see is like, don't confuse it, guys. Just choose one of those 3 offers, right? Personally, I'm a big believer in get upfront cash flow, high ticket money. I think that it's much easier to scale that way. And I've got some really strong mentors in the SaaS space who are big believers in getting money up front. It's how Russell Brunson grew his SaaS. Alex Becker, who I know has been on here, who I've worked with directly for a very long time, always get the upfront cash. But don't overthink this stuff. Don't worry all about all the Twilio rebilling and just go out there and charge them money. If you're confused by the SaaS configurations, go around it and just charge the money. And I don't know if you guys want me to say that or not here, but it's like, just don't, I know you guys don't care as long as they use the damn platform, right? Like don't confuse yourself over it, right? I see way too much confusion going on and not enough selling. Cause that's, you're going back to what do I help people? It's like, I help people cut the confusion and go sell. Nothing's going to be perfect. Right. And I'm sure you guys see this, the people who have the least amount of clients. And I say this with love for everyone. And if you ever made this post, the least amount of clients are doing the craziest, most fancy shit technology stuff on there of all time. And they're not making money. I'm like, dude, like go sell. Like you're overthinking this. Come on, let's go. Right. Cause I'll be the first to admit I'm not the most technical with it. I have a tech person on my team who handles it, but I know how to sell it. And I know how to get clients to adopt to it, which is really at the end of the day, what matters,
Yeah. And I think if there's one takeaway, if you are struggling, there are lots of people in the community you can connect with, like Nick, who can help you get past both technical hurdles and really mindset hurdles, right? It is easy to get caught up on obsessing over the tech and should this feature go in that plan or this plan, or should we have 3 plans or 2 plans, this kind of stuff. When I think
want to go sell it.
You've got the Nike approach.
Later. Nothing will be perfect, right? Like we as humans, we really like to, and I'm a big believer in just throw the kitchen sink at your first couple clients, get momentum, get money somehow coming in, because no matter how much I could prepare somebody or you guys can prepare someone, like you get a real client, it's like the old Mike Tyson thing. Like everyone's got a plan until they get punched in the mouth, right? And then you're going to step up and go regardless. So go get clients. And most people spend so much time, and especially if you're a perfectionist on here, then I really want to talk with you because that's a huge mindset issue. to overcome. Like, you will never be perfect. You will never be ready. The product will never be perfect. I guarantee that out of your first 10 customers, 5 of them are going to get confused about something, and they're going to have issues going on somewhere, because that's what happens when you start a business, and it's okay. You just need to be able to go sell more, understand where you went wrong, continue to optimize, make right by the customer, and just move forward, right? Like, you brought up mindset, and it's one of the things that also probably isn't talked about enough. Mindset's everything, man. Like, it really is. Like, the ability to go out there and take action without having all of the information or feeling like everything's in place is absolutely critical. And it's one of the first things that I go through in our programs. Like, look, I'm going to remove this block, this mental block for you, because if you've been at this for more than 6 months, you don't have a client, it's not a knowledge issue. It's a mindset issue 100% of the time.
That's a great point. And I think I've been talking about this in my last couple of interviews, especially when it comes to software. Product market fit is the hardest thing for any software startup to obtain. HighLevel's already proven the product market fit.
It's there. Like, pick
Have confidence that the product is a winner. You don't need to worry about that. So even if you're just getting started, you can immediately go to any business and provide value through the platform. We talked about automated stuff. Put a web chat widget on. I noticed you don't have a web chat widget on your website. I could get one there for you. I noticed you don't have Google My Business Chat activated. I can turn that on for you. You know, these things. And then Nick pointed out a lot of great things that we don't talk about a lot that are very easy, even if you're not the industry expert yet, which is, hey, I can give you the ability to listen to the phone calls, or I'll audit the phone calls for you and report back what I find. Trends. You're just looking for trends. Even if you don't have the expertise to know they shouldn't say that or they should say that. Oh, I noticed that out of the 50 phone calls I listened to, 30 of them were about this thing. What does that mean to you? Maybe, oh, well, maybe we should start, maybe we should put a promotion together around that thing. Mm-hmm. Or same thing with chat. It's even easier in chat. I'm going to not only give you the ability to two-way text with customers, I'm going to go through at least 50 conversations every month and report to you the trends. That's so valuable for a business owner, because most of them right now have like zero insight into what's happening, because they're in the room. Like, you know what I mean? They're not at the front desk.
Yep. One of my favorite things to do is fill out an intake form, or not an intake form, fill out a form on a website before we actually jump on a call with our doctor. Was 7 out of 10 times practices do not even make a single call to the intake form, right? When I say intake form, I mean the form on a website, the form submission. Mm-hmm. Where is that going? What is going on? I know where it's going. It's usually going to the trash can of info at whatever the hell their place is, right? Right. So how would it be if we came in and put a little HighLevel form on your website so we could track it all in one source? How about that? How are you tracking all of your leads? How are you tracking all of your information? Having a centralized communication platform in this day and age is enormous, right? You ask them, how many people have reached out to you on Facebook or Instagram recently? Do you know? Oh, do you think your front desk knows?
Exactly. And, going back to pipelines, in my experience, a lot of business owners are completely shocked when you just start piping in the forms that are already on their site into a pipeline. They look at it and they're like, what? 65 people have filled out the contact form this month. What happened to all of them? Where did they go? What did they say? Was it spam? And you're like, you just see the light bulbs going off of like, they just didn't have visibility into anything. Now you start putting leads on there. It's just
we sell visibility, clarity, transparency, the ability to see your entire new patient pipeline and value all in one area, right? Because a very, very sneaky way to get them addicted to you and the platform, again, is to put your own form on there and then put on a GMB, put a tracking line on the GMB form that tags in there as well. Right. Then they all have it one situation, and they start to identify those leads coming to you, even if you built their website or not. Exactly. And then you throw the web chat on there. Like, so it's all about getting them just addicted to the platform and what they've got, man. I get so fired up about it.
I really hope that, younger agency entrepreneurs, people early in the journey are letting this sink in of how easy it is to get started, provide value without even being the industry expert yet, but how quickly you become the industry expert if you're doing audits for clients as you go. People will pay just for the transparency, just for the visibility. And then pretty soon you'll be able to start to tell people what they're doing wrong. And that's when people are in my experience, really willing to pay.
Yeah. After I've been in agency, we've been doing, multiple seven figures for 5 years now, 4 years now. I think this will be our 5th year. Never has the ability to have one specific software suite of tools been around until now. And it's something I would have killed for 4 or 5 years ago. It's so much easier to get started now than it was back then. Oh my gosh. Like, and there's some markets that, really blow up with the go high level. And like I said, every single business needs it, right? There's a window of opportunity over the next 2 years, right? Before you guys take over the whole world, as apparently, what you guys got going on, right? But you got the next 2 years, by my estimation, to get out there, get in front of it, and get people white labeled on your software with this, because everybody needs it. Right. And part of my pitch is literally, if you don't have a centralized communication platform in the next 2 years, you're done, because everyone's getting more and more siloed, right? It's already happening. We got Pinterest, we got TikTok, you got Twitter, you got Facebook, you got Instagram, you got radio, you got newspaper, TV ads. How do you manage all of these leads? Put them all in one source, right?
Yeah, bring them all back to one
place. Bring them all
place.
in one area.
And I think, look, obviously we plan for global domination, but the globe is so big, right? Like,
enormous.
Think about, when you were talking earlier, I was just going through my head. Think about every business that should be nurturing you that's not. Like, are you getting texts from your dentist every 5 months? I don't. I should.
I missed a doctor's appointment today. Literally. Okay. Missed a doctor's appointment today because, one, they didn't send out a calendar invite and they didn't have any reminders. And the only email that I found that I actually looked at the other day didn't adapt to my time zone. It said 11 a.m. It didn't have a time zone. I just figured it was Eastern, but really they were saying Mountain, and I'm not in the right time, and had it on the thing because the reminder processing system was so bad. That alone, missed an appointment. It cost me $600 to just have a conversation with that guy. So they just lost $600 because the reminder system was stupid. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
my wife has a half deleted tattoo because she went to 3 sessions and then she forgot about it. And every time I ask her, she's like, I just keep forgetting to go back. Yeah. Like, think about the money that tattoo removal business is just wasting, letting fly out the window. Like, everything, if you just let your mind wander, you can come up with a million businesses that need reminder software. Just that one piece.
Just that, let alone you start and if you get good and you understand how to stack everything else together and you put it all together in like a unique mechanism and system that you're selling with your own white labeled version of it, man, I've never seen this. Like, I've been selling for a long time, but it's home runs. I mean, we're like, just our closing rate on demos, like 50% right now on the 10K product, which is insane, right? Because I'm very big on demos and stuff in general, but like being able to wrap together, it took me a little bit to figure out exactly how I wanted to push and position it, but man, it is a complete game changer.
Well, so talk to me more about the Done For You. What does it consist of? Where do people go if they're interested?
Yeah, absolutely. So the best place to get started is to join the 7-Figure Crusader Nation Facebook group. That's the best place. I do lives every Wednesday. We make posts in there for sure. Right. And you can also send me a direct message if you're interested or you want to chat further, either way. So the Done For You offer, what does that mean? Done For You SaaS Agency build out. Well, over the last 8 months, I have been fine tuning and testing all kinds of different stuff, from automations to reminders to pipeline build outs to client adoption to what should our text blast say? What should database reactivation say? And I put it all together, and we're working with Go High Level to go in there, install it within your business, right? Within your agency, my exact, multiple 7-figure processes, right? For both your client as well as for yourself, right? I also manage a sales team through Go High Level. We got appointment setters through there. So I've actually got 2 different, snapshots that we work with, that we install, that Go High Level will directly work with you on. And then you work with me directly to edit and make sure that it fits perfectly for your exact market niche. So like, we go in together and I work with you hands-on in order to actually make sure your offer makes sense, using all of our frameworks, all of our timelines, all of our sequences, all of our like automations. We've removed all the workflow BS for you. So if you're someone who's like tough with the tech, which it can be a little daunting if you don't have team members or the people with it, we remove all that for you, make it super duper simple. And then on top of that, and most importantly, we give you all the stuff that we've got, our systems process, all that. We do the prospecting system build out for you. And then we go in and we work with you to build out a pitch deck, build out your sales system, make sure that you can adopt clients on it, retain those clients as well, right? So like literally the whole 9.
I forget I can't remember if we talked about this in the previous interviews, but what do you like to do for prospecting? Are you buying lists? Are you running ads? What are you?
Great question. So I do a lot of ad running. I've been running ads for a very long time. I'm a big believer in running ads. And then I also buy lists constantly. I actually have outbound dialers right now that work tremendously well. Cold email works fantastically, just depending on market, and LinkedIn, right? So I still use those core areas. The key is having good systems in place that can go out and actually follow up properly. Because most of you, I guarantee right now, none of you are following up enough. I'll tell you that right now, period. You're not following up enough with your clients. You have to borderline abuse their contact information to get a hold of them these days. I tell you that, you know, and then you're not, it comes down to the messaging that you're using, right? So it really kind of depends. Me personally, I love ads, and I'm also a big believer in big referral partners and getting with influencers, which I talk about how to do as well, because we're moving more and more into like an influencer driven world where you just need to get featured on YouTube channels, podcasts, newspapers, authority driven stuff. Especially if you're somewhat advanced and you're listening to this, like just know that that has to be a part of your marketing strategy to get clients in 2022. It absolutely has to be. But yeah, we use all the core channels. It's really about having a good system in place. So for follow-up, using the system right. And then what happens once you take them through the sales process.
Very cool. All right. Well, we'll be sure to link up the Crusader Nation Facebook group down below so that you guys can check that out. Nick, thanks so much for coming on, man.
Man,
always love chatting.
It's always so good to see you, Chase. Love all you guys. Tell Sean, Robin, Paulson, Mimi, the whole team. Love working with you guys. It's been so awesome to be able to start working together with you guys on a closer, you know, partner up on this done for you build out system as well. So appreciate having me on. Hopefully everyone who's watching got some good value. The last thing I want to say, stop thinking and start doing. Okay. Stop overthinking it and go start prospecting. Like, you're going to mess up. You're going to make mistakes. Just go make it happen. It's okay. You'll find out that, you know, success, it only happens when you actually take massive action. So let's get after it, everybody. Opportunity is enormous right now. People are still buying, and you've got the most amazing tool I've ever seen in this game, in the agency game, at our hands right now, with the whole team supporting you, and let's make it happen.
I love it. All right, man. Well, I wish you a happy Q4. We'll catch up with you in Q1, I'm sure.
Got it.
Thanks everybody for watching. We'll see you in the next one.